This one is titled Sinting.
Enthroned in heaven, Lord, you're flawless. Never sleep, never slumber, you're the greatest. Are you have my heart? That's why me set apart. Nothing can penetrate to get me back in the dark. One taste of me ice pop, show me not. Oh, Lord. Enthroned in heaven, Lord, you're flawless. Never sleep, never slumber, you're the greatest. Are you have my heart? That's why me set apart. Nothing can penetrate to get me back in the dark. One taste of me ice pop, show me no live under the council of the serpent. I'm presenting my body as a living sacrifice. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of the wise, so keep your sinting. I say the Lord shall supply every one of my needs. Keep your sinting. Me no licky, beggy, so you can't catch me. Keep your sinting. So me no frightened for what you put in front of me. Keep your sinting. You want your sinting. Can't go back where you come from. La 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 la. Daddy tell me sit down, so me nah move. So you know hear what me hear. You say me rude, blacklist to you uncontrolled.
Will you see our voice, sweetie? Chevelle Franklyn.
And glory upon my tongue. Keep your silver, keep your gold, keep your diamonds, keep your pearls. My contract is exclusive. Whoa, keep your singing. I said the Lord shall supply everyone I need. Keep your singing. Me no licky, beggy, so you can't catch me. Keep your singing. Send me no friend for what you put in front of me. Keep your singing. Can't go back where you come from.
Keep your sinting. No friend for what you put in front of we.
That's right.
Chevelle Franklyn coming through.
If the one I'm in love with, ooh, you tempted me, won't work, no,
Yeah, that's perfect, Liz.
no. I'm one with him and he's all that I need. Whoa, keep your singing. He'll
I
supply
want to be able to
every one
leave
I
this.
Yeah,
need.
you I'll put this forward.
Me no licky, beggy, so you can't catch
Sinting. But of course, you're saying it's a journey. So we're going to touch all aspects, all areas. Yeah, man, me know, me know.
It's a dancehall thing.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
It is now 12:30. From a secular artist to a minister of God, Chevelle Franklyn is an award-winning gospel reggae artist, songwriter, and producer. Her collaborations include timeless hits such as Mr. Loverman featuring Shabarangs and Dancehall Queen with Beanie Man. She has also collaborated with gospel entertainers Papa San, Stitchy, Israel Houghton, and Grammy Award winning artist Donnie McClurkin. And today we're absolutely honored to be journeying on the road to success with none other than Chevelle Franklyn. Chevelle, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to take us on your dynamic journey.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be on your program today. Thank you so much.
Wow, that is absolutely awesome. I know a lot of persons we grew up belting out on the top of our voices, Chevelle Franklin songs and just trying to replicate your sound, whether or not we
Wow.
sounded good or not. We're just doing it. But let's
Oh.
begin with your foundation. You grew up in a family of 10 siblings. And how would you describe your early years growing up in Tospen, St. Catherine?
Oh, Lord. I mean, I described to what I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was very adventurous. The struggle made it very adventurous. Seeing my mother, a single mother, trying to feed all of her children, no father being present, and it was very frequent. There were sounds of just always war, but on the other side of it, you could go around the canal bank and you could play in the river and you could, just have the typical fun that the typical child have in Jamaica. But on the upside of it, that created a lot of trauma was just being in need of too many simple things,
Mm-hmm.
uh, level of encouragement that you need to get. It was a lot of trauma, but as I say, on the other side, there were good times. And I had a grandmother who genuinely loved me and would always, say to me, "Don't worry." She would call me by my middle name, Jacinta. And she said, "Don't worry, Jacinta. The block with the builder refused to be the chief cornerstone because I'd consider myself that I would be picked on a bit frequently by,
Mm-hmm.
certain people. But it is a struggle that has made me this resilient. So I'm grateful for those things. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not bashing, you know, but it
When
was a
when you
very good time.
when you said picked on, would you be picked on by family members or just persons outside, children at school?
Be both. It would be both in and out. And even when I
Mm-hmm.
started school, because I grew up, I left Tospen when I was about 6 years old. And but the pick on would be also poverty picking on you. I don't know if you ever hear that term. I just me I put it that way there.
No,
Just the fact
never
that
heard that term before,
so
but
yeah, just the fact that you lack so many things that the average
mm-hmm.
person has. But because it was normal, you didn't really make it bother you so much. But it was just some of the things. But I knew even at a young age that I needed to get out of this because there must be more to life than this, even at a very young age of 6 years old, because I left there when I was 6 years old.
So was it your desire for a new environment that saw you leaving Tospen at 6? And where exactly did you go? Who did you go with?
You know what? I had a desire to leave. Maybe I won't say I had a desire. I found myself following a woman home, a total stranger
Oh
that she
wow.
would, yeah, I didn't know her, but I just noticed that every certain days of the week she would pass and she would go to the church across the road. And one evening I decided that me I go follow this woman home. And I followed her home, and that was the beginning of a new chapter. And glory be to God that when I got there, the first thing on my mind, although she said, "No, no, little girl, where you come from?" Because she didn't see me following her home, is when we reached
Mm-hmm.
our gate, pop up like Santa Claus.
Oh
Just pop
my
up
gosh.
like Wonder Woman. And I begged her to stay, and then she said, "No, no, no, you have to go back home." So she traced back my steps with her, and then I got back there, and I lay waited her another time again, like the following week. And she saw my determination, and then she made me stay after a week, and then I moved in with her. And to be honest with you, life was much better in the sense where um I was able to be the things
Ach-
that was
mhm.
missing, I started getting like simple things, and I don't want to make it look like, as my mother was a very good woman. It's just that poverty no good, and when poverty start beat you, it's like it can do so many things to you psychologically. But so when I got to that lady's house, one of the first thing I did was to ask her if she can have our friend take my sister. And so the other friend took my other sister,
Oh
and then
wow.
yeah, then I asked again if our other friend can take my other sister. And so the pastor wife took my other sister. And so the distribution center started, you
Oh
know,
wow.
that
So
was where,
but what did this do to your mom though? I mean, what was her reaction to all
I'm
of what
sure
was
it was
happening?
I'm sure it was a bit tough, but she needed the help. And so, because I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you that she really tried her best, but sometimes, no matter how you try your best, if you're in a particular situation, it's almost like you may feel like you're not doing enough. But I believe that she did, and also make some bad choices with men because those fathers never really, dealt with their responsibility the way they should have.
Mm-hmm.
One probably did, but those fathers didn't really do. Um, those fathers, majority of them just didn't come through the way they should have. And so with this lady, God just used her. It was about 3 or 4 of us got taken in, and we were able to start proper education. We were able to go to school properly
Wow.
and just exposed to different different things. One of the things that I was exposed to was, I remember the next door neighbor. She had a little girl. My next door neighbor had a little girl. She became my best friend. And one day she brought me into her mother's house, and I'm like, I didn't know people could have so much clothes, and I didn't know so much shoes. People could have so
Mm-hmm.
many shoes. So what it did was to enlarge my mind. Not that I was rushing vanity, but
Mm-hmm.
I felt I
There
was
is
like, oh,
more.
there is more, and
Mm-hmm.
so the exposure, that's what exposure do. It causes you to dream even bigger,
No,
so that was.
absolutely. So already, without you delving deeper into it, we can see how this new environment started to impact your life. Did this new environment and situation also increase your level of confidence? What did that do for young Chevelle Franklin?
It took a while because I was also in an environment. I went into an environment where I was known as the little girl from Taspen, so I was in a
Mm-hmm.
different space. Not that it was wholly 100% better than where I'm coming from, but let's say 90,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I was, flush toilet, the luxury, people
Mm-hmm.
won't see it as that, but if you understand where you're coming from, you see that as luxury. And just being able to have your own room, I never had that, just 3 square meals, all those simple things. So, but the difficult was fitting into a space where everybody, a lot of the other children saw I as a little pick me
Mm-hmm.
from top. And so many didn't really want to befriend you. So you come out of one something, you're going to another. But I was always a grateful little girl. So I did not allow the fact that I wasn't well received by the majority to discourage me. So indeed, I learned how to be my own cheerleader, even that young. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to wait. I was comfortable with you not wanting to be my friend at some point, where I started to speak back to myself, looking in the mirror and say, girl, you look good. As you,
Mm.
I was able to do that because I had nobody doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to become my own coach, my own cheerleader, my own, what I'm saying. So that
Yes,
was what,
absolutely.
yeah.
No, as a teenager, as you got older, you experienced another turning point in your life. Take us to this defining moment and what actually led you to move away from where you were staying with this
Yeah.
awesome stranger that took you in as a 6 year old.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I thank God for Mrs. White. I was blessed by her in many ways. But
Mm-hmm,
there were other things that was going on in the home that I knew it was time for me to go. And when I said it to her, she wasn't in agreement. She didn't see it that way.
mm-hmm. How
And
old were you?
I was probably about 12, 13 years old, 12 years old.
Oh
You
gosh, and ready to go.
Yeah, I was ready to go because, and then I remember when I was passing by Tasman, I went to my mother and I said, boy, something up, something happened, and, so and so. And she said, you know what, me not nowhere but come. And
Wow.
so I end up going back. And it was very difficult because to that point, I was in school when I got back to Tasman, obviously, without no support, I wasn't able. So I dropped out of school shortly after. But God was in my favor because one day before I dropped out of school,
Mm-hmm,
I was I stopped to use the bathroom somehow, and I started singing one of my favorite singer from, I mean, it, I think she'll be my favorite for the rest of my life, Whitney Houston. She had this song called I Believe the Children Are Our Future. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just singing The Greatest Love of All. That's the name of the song. And I was just singing The Greatest Love. Didn't know that somebody was listening to me on the outside of the bathroom, the
Hey.
toilet. I want bar,
Mm-hmm.
me stop to use the toilet, you know. And when I came out, the guy said to me, said, guess what? My God, you know you can't sing. Them time them I not really see myself as no singer, you know? But I knew I was passionate. I loved. I end up falling in love with music because it was the only thing that spoke back to me in love. I was spoken
Mm-hmm.
back to by many negative things, you know, but music somehow calmed the storm in my spirit. And so um, he said to me there was somebody who is a songwriter in De La Vega City, and they have this song, and I would fit well for it. I was just turning 13. I end up recording the song Here I Am. And, you know, after that, the journey of the music began. Yeah.
Wow. So take us back to young Chevelle trying to maneuver the dancehall space that can be so gritty and cruel. Were there things that you were afraid of in that moment, literally stepping into the unknown? Because, like you said, you know, you didn't have any aspirations to be a singer.
Yeah. You know, at the time, dancehall was a community of people, of women, of men who actually kind of cared about each other. I mean, I hear a lot of negative that oh,
Mm-hmm.
so it did wicked and bad from long time, but no, there was a certain sisterhood at that time where, you know, everybody would share lunch. And remember taking bus from Spanish Town going to Gemini Club, which was where Sassafras office was, where many of us would gather. The Lady G and the Paula and even Marian would show up a few times. This was before anybody was no celebrity, but in our
Mm-hmm.
minds, we were going somewhere, and that was enough. And so, but it was a very sharing space. Lady G was as very close to her, still my one of my best friend to this date. You know, I'm talking about 16, 17 years old. It was scary in the sense that I didn't have a family member with me that I felt like if anything happened, I could have, you know, yeah, I could
Mm-hmm.
have go back to Spanish Town and link my family and them would step up. But just the journey of me being by myself, but God would bring me into spaces with people who saw this young girl and knew that they needed to protect her. So I wasn't left out in the cold, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
I got to know people like the Mikey Bennett's and end up being in his camp. And that's when I started doing more recording. You know, let me just mention Ron Harrison because he was the first person who produced the first song with me.
Mm-hmm. Here I
Here
am.
here I am. So I was in a very safe space, you know. The Lady Anns, you know, we would see them, the junior ranks. So it wasn't a very competitive. People weren't competing. It, in a sense, they were, but it was more to complete and to create something beautiful and just serving in the. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day and I was saying my job even then was to I would sweep the studio yard or Dennis Brown would
Mm-hmm.
send come by bun and cheese or Gregory need a drink and I'd go and so all these things help to to it helped to process me and it helped to it was just a good space for me. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
complaining about it because obviously I know my beginning. I never lost sight of my beginning, the difficulty of it. So I felt that I was getting one step closer to fulfilling greater and greater aspirations. So, you know,
Okay, on that note, we're going to go take a quick time signal. We soon come back. We're on the road to success and we're journeying with Chevelle Franklyn.
The Grace Kennedy Financial Group made life easy.
Visit GraceKennedyFinancialGroup.com. One group, one goal for you to live a graceful life.
Time is
It is now 12:45. We are on the road to success and we're journeying with Chevelle Franklyn if you're just joining us. So as a teenager, you know, like you said, you didn't really have that family member to rely on when you were out there in the cold. At any point in time, did you ever feel like giving up or things weren't going your way or, you know, because we know how it is, you know, like you're waiting, you don't have that cushion. Did you ever have any down moments that you felt like, look, I can't go on. And how were you able to overcome?
I was always conscious of the God factor. I always felt like God was always talking to me. I knew God was always talking to me. So I always felt like even though I was alone, I knew I wasn't alone. And so
Mm-hmm.
I felt like at that point, at some point as I grew older, I knew that this was my calling and my purpose in life, which was to sing because of how it made me feel and the persons who would hear my voice how it would make them feel. So I was very certain that this was the space for me. And yes, there were times that I felt discouraged, but not enough for me to give up. It didn't come enough for me to give up. Yeah, there were things, negative things, that come into my space. But remember, I was always so conscious of where I'm coming from and my journey. Born in a one little space where nothing was, where life was difficult. And as I said, the older I got, the better life became for me. So I was always a gratitude girl. So that would be
Mm-hmm.
maybe the driving force behind me to, when I'm overlooked, because I was overlooked in the music business by many people. I was always overlooked and I was underrated, but it didn't bother me because where I'm coming from was tougher, you know, and also I was aware that I didn't come into earth by mistake. I always felt like I knew that I was a special child. So it didn't matter what life kind of threw at me, I was able to bounce back with confidence, knowing that it won't always be like this struggle, this too shall pass, this struggle will pass. One day I'll get an opportunity to work with the people that I love. One day I'll be able to buy myself a little house. One day, I was always saying one day. It's like, the Bible said life and death is in the power of the tongue and you will eat the fruit of it. So I was always saying one day things will change one day. And if anybody, I mean, anybody that has encountered me, they'll probably tell you Chevelle is known for encouraging people because
Mm-hmm.
I needed those encouragement and I didn't really have enough people around me to cheer me on that way. And so I made I made up my mind that this is who I'll become. I'll be living life on purpose to make
Mm.
sure to spend my time to encourage those that, because sometimes you think that it's not always about money, You see, the journey of success is not just always about financial blessing. It's just being the blessing at the different levels that you are. You may not have money, but you have a smile. You may not have money, but you have a word of encouragement. You may not have money, but you have an extra pair of shoes can give somebody. You may not have the wealth that you desire, but there are other ways that God can use you. So giving up was not an option for me because I knew where I'm coming from, and I had a perception of where I'm going.
Now, you spoke briefly about Mikey Bennett. Talk to us about
Yeah,
how you met producer Mikey Bennett and how did this interaction impact your career?
right. So I used to take the bus from Spanish Town to Kingston. And as I said, when we did go Gemini Club, at the time, Anchor Studio was on Slipen Road. So a few of us as artists would go down there and just wait around to see just the things that everybody's still doing now. Well, a lot of people still doing now. And I saw him and I said to him, no, he said to me, can you sing? At the time, he didn't know who I was because even though Here I Am was out and it was doing a lot of things, people loved it and it was, but there were some, I wasn't present enough, like
Mm-hmm.
in the virtual space at that time enough. So he said to me if I can sing. I said, yeah, man, me can write too. Then tell them me
Mm.
can write. But I sold myself well. I said, yeah, man, me can write, me can sing. And he said, sing something for me. And I did something on the spot. And right away, that was it. God used this man to help me and brought me into a very healthy space in the sense where I found more confidence because this was somebody who was able to help to guide me along the way in the music business. And then I became a part of his group, which was consist of myself and my musical brothers, Brian and Tony Gold.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of us, Nigel Staff, Brian and Tony Gold, Peter Mann, and the team grew. So I was now in a space where I was their little sister, and that was how I developed to even know much more about music. Because Mikey Bennett is great at what he does. He's a brilliant
Mm-hmm.
songwriter, an extraordinary producer. So I was in the right space at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Next level. I mean, no pushover, nice and
Right.
naughty.
Yeah.
Those are songs that
Right.
came out there. But your career blossomed in the 90s. You scored a collaboration with Shabba Ranks on Mr. Loverman, another big collab with Beanie Man on Dancehall Queen, which also saw the making of a movie of the same name. How did these successes impact your career on an international standpoint? What did that do for you, and what were some of the benefits you were able to reap at that period?
I mean, apart from the fact that people are now aware of you, it was at the time it was a lot of male domination in that season. So you didn't really get the chance to be seen and to be heard the way you wanted to. But it did build your confidence because you started to see how people responding to your voice, both locally and internationally. So you kind of grow through it. But in terms of, I mean, and your name got more exposure in the music industry. So one and two more producers will call, one and two more producers will want to work with you. So the door became easier. The access to the certain doors became easier. Working with people like Steely and Clevie, at the time they were top producers. Oh God, they were running the road. You work with people like Handel Tucker, um, everybody who didn't want to record you or didn't know of you. Now your name is on their lips, and so the
Mm-hmm.
access got easier. That
Did
was
did
what it did. It didn't get brought me any money. It didn't, because I've
mm-hmm.
never once
Oh
performed. I think
wow.
I performed Mr. Loverman with Shabba Ranks once, and that was it. That was it.
Oh
So a
wow.
lot of people didn't even know that I sang it, you know?
Did what during this period, I know you said that it was still a male dominating time, but did it frustrate you, at any point in time, considering that, you're both on the track, you contributed to the project equally as the other individual. Did it frustrate you any at all during that period?
It's because I was so young and a bit scared at the time, at the same time, that you want it, and
Mm-hmm.
sure, if you get it while it happens. So you kind of, going through those little emotions, and still again, a lone soldier in terms of not having, any family in the space looking out, and you having to look out for yourself, because as much as all you had these great people around you, you probably will never be priority. You're just one artist, So
Mm-hmm.
it's just, yeah.
So okay, so regardless of that, you were still traveling. It still opened doors for you, like you mentioned, locally and internationally. But 1998, despite the international success, the attention, you getting now an opportunity as it relates to a taste of stardom. At the peak of your career, you made the transition, which may seem sudden to a lot of people, from secular to gospel. What
Yeah.
prompted this move, and take us back to this defining moment in your career?
I always knew that I belonged to God, even as a child, because I said to you, say, I had conversations with God and encounters with Him. When I was let me tell you one specific encounter I had
Mm-hmm.
when I was about 7 years old, living with the lady. I remember being around the back garden, playing with my puppy then. We love dogs, we love animals,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember hearing my name very distinctly with a very familiar voice. So honestly, I thought it was the lady that I was living with who called me. And when I run to her, I ask her, she said, no, I'm gonna call you. I run, go back, I play again, and I heard it so clear. My name being called, and I run back to her because guess what? You did, she don't call you and you don't come in. I'm telling you, you will feel it with some wires and some, yeah, some the
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to get, you will really encounter hell on earth, So, um, God bless her. Yeah, so I kept going back and forth, hearing the voice calling me. And I remember eventually, about the sixth time, she got it. And then she said, all right, Next time you hear the voice, say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So that was my first encounter with God calling me, and I was able to hear his voice. So all along, I knew I belonged to God. Even when we were on tour with Beanie Man, when the doors opened for going on the road to promote, going to Cannes Festival in Paris to promote the movie Dancehall Queen and being in these mingling with the stars and all these things, I could feel the presence of God. And I knew that God was just saying, I want you for myself. I knew it. It was constantly there because when there were times to go to party, it would have been like I had to, like brace myself. It wasn't a natural feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Even the other day I was thinking, boy, the amount of dub plate me do for Stone Love and Bodyguard and them thing there over the years and them song they were missing. I could count on my one hand how much time I ever go a dance. You know, and that was because the appetite that was in the inside of me was not for that. There was a hunger
Mm-hmm.
for me that wanted God. And so what God did though was to give me the opportunity to go into the space where the celebrities were, just to let me see that what I so longed for, what my soul desire was, it was overrated. So I would go into the space and I would be in the room with all these celebrities, and I'm looking on their countenance and seeing them, and all they had was money, but there was a void. And I thought, oh my God, Lord, help me, because, money is good, money is power. Money gives you access. Money brings blessing, but it does not give you peace. It doesn't give you peace, and the money can't buy peace. It can buy every other thing else. Well, it can buy heaven. It can buy so much, but it cannot bring you peace. And so, as I myself and Beanie Man had a show in New York at the Apollo Theater where we're supposed to be doing the dancehall queen song. And this girl came out with her daughter and she started singing this song, the safest place in the whole wide world is in the will of God. Though trials be great and the way seems hard, it's in the will of God. It may be on a mountain peak or in the prison. Anyway, one long song. And the song was just, I was like, oh my God. And I was always mindful and like, God, I don't want to die and not know you. I don't want to die and not be committed to you. I don't want to die. And I knew I had the chance to repent and ask you to come into my heart. And God, I know what needs to be done, but this thing was driving me. The spirit of darkness was pushing me into appeasing my flesh more than appeasing God. So anyway, I remember I was standing with Steve Harvey at the time, and we were
Mm-hmm.
both admiring the music that was going on. And I whispered to God and I said, Lord, use me
Chevelle,
like that.
on that note, I want you to remember that. Do not forget it. We're gonna have to take a quick break. Stick and stay.
When me use Island Fresh with aloe vera, it make me skin feel so much smoother. So if you want to feel better and smell fresher, use Island Fresh with aloe vera.
Manufactured by Island Products. 9340666.
Get your tickets out and let the games begin.
Happy Thursday. It is January 18, 2024. I'm your girl, Carrie Ann, and welcome to this afternoon's Supreme Ventures live lunchtime game draw. Now, before we begin, here's a quick look at the mid-morning winning numbers. Now, please do remember that all live games are being supervised by the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Commission and observed by the independent auditing firm, PwC. And now, let's put some money in the fear top draw. Now, this afternoon's top draw jackpot has climbed to $600,000. So here are your winning top draw numbers. Here we go. And for Money Upon Top of Money, the first top draw number coming your way is the number 9. Next in line, we have the number 18. Now the third top draw number making its way up and down is 10. Following 10, what will it be? Lucky number 12. And our final top draw number for $600,000 is a count to the number 13. And now let's pick your play with Urdalis game. So I hope you're feeling lucky. Here goes. And this afternoon's winning lunchtime dollars numbers are making their way down. First in line, we have 31. Next up, it is the number 6. Number 2 is next. And right after 2 comes ball number 18. Following 18, we have the number 22. And we're counting down to the number 21. Number 5 is next, and the next dollars number coming down slowly but surely is number 3. What will the next dollars number be? It is the number 24. Right after 24 comes 35. And following 35, we have number 8. And our final dollars number this afternoon is lucky number 12. And now for some easy winnings with our Pick 2 game. So get those tickets out and let's play. Now the first Pick 2 number coming your way this afternoon is 23. And the second Pick
Pick and Cash Pot draws. Congratulations to all of today's winners. Join us again at 3 p.m. for another chance to win in Hot Pick and Cash Pot special pot draws.
We bless the Lord, bless the Lord, bless the Lord.
If you're just joining us, we are on the road to success and we are journeying with none other than CHEVELLE FRANKLYN. Now, before we went to the cash pot break, CHEVELLE, you were in the process of talking to us about being at the Apollo Theater, standing right next to Steve Harvey and admiring a young singer who belted out a gospel song.
Yes. Yeah, so standing beside her, I mean, seeing this young miss, and I thought, God, I want you to use me like that one day. And then it was almost like the enemy started to flood my mind with things like, oh, well, I mean, you're gonna miss out on the Janet Jackson party because I was in Paris with Janet Jackson. You're gonna miss out on, the links of all those. I was opening up for the Boys to Men, sharing the stage with the Mary J. Blige, the Lenny Kravitz, the Ricky Martin. The record label was doing a great job. I was living in New York City in a five-star hotel, flying first class around the world. So at that time was one of the best time of my life. So the
Wow.
God thing right there. So as much as I knew he was calling me, I was like, God, um, mm, kind of, me not ready yet. Just give me some more time. But so even though this young miss ministered to me, I just felt like, all right, God, give me some more time. Eventually, we went up and myself and Beanie Man ripped the place with Dancehall Queen, and we kept on working on an album because I signed to the record label, just Island Records, and we finished the album and everything was set to be released. Photo shoot, look like Hot Girl. The works was everything was in the
Mm-hmm.
works. And when I came to Jamaica, God just, I was doing a show. I think it was the 4th of July, August Independence show. And right there, God just intervened. I mean, the whole band was surprised because we had rehearsed to the dancehall queen. And that night, I remember, just saying to them, as of tonight, I'm going to just serve God. I mean, I lie to you. When I came back home, when I left that event, people were shocked because this was the
Mm-hmm.
moment that Chevelle was waiting on. Things were about to go to the next level for me. And it kind of did scare me that I did it, but there was a liberty in doing it. And I felt the peace that I didn't have. I came home and I bawled my eyes out and I said, God, I want me do, but me I beg you do just keep me. So that was
Wow.
where my new journey started.
So I can just imagine, like, you had people on your team, the record label. I mean, what was that conversation like, when you independently made that decision in a moment because you had a moment?
I had a great manager, and I think it's just God did set it up because I remember when I called him and I said to him, say, boy, Shadow, I'm not gonna do what I used to do anymore. And because I was very convicted in my spirit that God
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to use my voice to honor him. And when I said it to him, he said, you know what, Chev, I don't want to stand in the way of you and God. And that was like, remember, I just left America, finished the album, the photo shoot, everything was ready to launch. And, so when he said that to me, I knew it was God. And then I remember the next person I called, I was Chris Blackwell. And I told him because I was signed to his label, and I said to him, and it was almost like the same response. So God was really setting me up because I don't think emotionally I was ready for a shutdown, a nasty shutdown because of the decision that I made. So God was
Mm-hmm.
really in the whole scheme of things.
So even though those conversations went well, better than you could have imagined, what was the after effect like, and what were some of the challenges that you encountered? And did you have any moment where you felt like, boy, you made the wrong decision?
I think other than the first night when I left the show and I
Mm-hmm.
went back home, I was like, God, when me do? That was the only time I remember. And then, I think the next thing that I did, I started to pursue where could I go. So I got in touch with Junior Tuck at the time. He was a born again Christian and he invited me to his church, which was Swallowfield Chapel. And then I started getting discipled there. And, then that was where the new journey started. But I did not feel like after that that I made the wrong decision. And I can tell you, Christianity, it wasn't easy. It was not what I thought it was, because
Mm-hmm.
you have a perception that every Christian is in God and da, 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 da. But the Bible said the wheat and the tear will grow together until the day of harvest. Some will still not be delivered and set free as they should because of them don't have the desire to really want God. And some people decided, I've made up my mind and I'm gonna fight this fight and do and obey God and be a better person in Him for His kingdom and for His glory. So you come upon those people, and there's just so much, but the joy of God was more important to me, and growing in God. And so shortly after, I started to do my recording, and I did my first gospel album.
Wow. Do you, based on your experience and the trek in the gospel landscape of things, do you think that it is more challenging for Jamaican gospel entertainers as opposed to gospel singers in the rest of, around the rest of the world?
Just rephrase that for me. I'm trying to understand the depth of
Okay,
it.
I was saying that based on your experience, as a gospel artist, looking at the landscape, would you say that it is more challenging for Jamaican gospel entertainers?
Yeah, I think it is because, the finances do play a role. Or leadership does play a role because, sometimes if you're under the right leadership, the right ministry, they can see the gift in you and say, how can I and assist? How can I help? Because that one singer, that one DJ can reach tons more people than if you had a mic in your hand to preach. That was how music would have, that was how effective music was. So I think if we had the level of support system and also the level of focus to um, think about excellence, meaning that the level of our work, would, if we really pay more attention to the level of our work, it can enter into the international space much better. But because we don't have enough of the people that we need to help to bring it to where it needs to go,
Mm-hmm.
that's the challenge. Because there are people who are supposed to be engineers who are artists. There are people who are supposed to be artists who are engineers. So a lot of times, many people not really in their own the right lane.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just want to be the one with the microphone and the spotlight. And so, it's just to find the space where God ordained for you.
Ministering the gospel through music around the world, what would you say was your most impactful experience and why? I know you probably have many.
Yes, I do. God has really been good to me. I've been doing some of the largest gospel festivals in the world, and one of them is called The Experience. I've been doing it for the past well, I've done it many times, several times. And just to be able to stand in front of, it is said to be the largest gospel concert in the world, that 800 to a million people, and to stand up in front of a sea of people to represent God and country, it is one of the most, it's like, wow, mind blowing experiences. And it really helps you to know that you can't just go out anywhere. You really have to prepare because it's not like a one and two people seeing you. It's millions of people seeing it. So that was one. And I also do some of the largest festivals in UK, which is a festival of life that really was one of the platform that has put my name out there in the gospel world that house up to 60,000 people. And I've done festivals in Bangkok, I've done in Australia and all over Africa. And so, but the experience, the one in Nigeria, has been the one that was really the that has really changed, and has contributed a lot for me.
Mhm. And as you mentioned Africa, I read that you also went to Africa to do an album. Why?
Well, this album, I first went to South Africa years ago. I remember
Mm-hmm.
going in Namibia. I did something in Namibia, And I went over to South Africa and I met this pastor who was saying God showed him that I was to be the one that would help give birth to some of the music that he's been writing. It was a great man of God. And so I started to, the first production I did was with some of the leading voices in South Africa. So I produced songs with Tokoza, with Lionel Peterson, Judith Sapuma, all the top, so I was exposed that way. But when I was there and I saw the level of, oh my God, musicianship, I saw the level of singing, I was like, what better place to be than here? And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought the next time I'm doing a worship album, that's where I'm going. So this worship album that I just did was done there, and I'm so pleased. It's called South Wind, and I'll be releasing the second single of it tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow is the premiere.
Okay.
Although
Was that the track that I opened with earlier?
we will
We
sing.
will
That would
sing,
be,
right, right.
yeah,
Awesome. And I also have another new song from you
right.
titled Beautiful. And in
Beautiful,
speaking
yeah.
about this song, I realized that, you do have some gospel entertainers that they don't really keep it reggae, even though they're Jamaican. But I realized listening to some of your material, you do have that reggae flavor still. Is this something deliberate for you to be known as a reggae gospel singer? Does
Yeah.
that mean a lot to
Well,
you?
yeah, it means a lot to me. And one of the things I must say, I've always been a very versatile vocalist because I
Mm-hmm.
started out singing R&B, and then as I grew up in music, I fused. I was probably one of the first person who did the fusion of singing and DJing. So we call it Sing J. So there was nobody before me doing it, well, like that I can
Mm-hmm.
recall. There was nobody that I pulled on. So that was where, and it was because I was able to um to be in my space as a Jamaican and also operate in another space, so that's how the No Pushover started. That was the first
Mm-hmm.
fusion song. Before it was this singer singing and then a DJ singing, but I was the only one that was putting the two together and just delivering it. So I'm just saying that um that was where, because of the level of gift, a lot of other persons who are not repping the reggae, a lot of times it's because that's not what they're really exposed to. You'll be so much surprised how many Jamaican who all they listen to was foreign music, and that is only influence. And if you put them on a reggae or a dancehall beat, them last.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, fortunately, whatever is whatever.
Now, for your fans who are listening, musically, what are you working on presently? What can we look forward to? I know you mentioned the album that you did in Africa, but you also have a new track that will be released titled "Beautiful." So, talk to us about
Yeah,
those
it's
new
been released.
materials in the
Right.
pipeline.
Right. So Beautiful was done about a month ago in Jamaica by
Mm-hmm.
Julian Griffin. He started a new arm to his record label to do positive and gospel music and stuff like that. So because he and my husband have been friends for decades, the
Mm-hmm.
relationship just blossomed, and he just sent me this rhythm, and I wrote a song and did it, and it's been doing really well. A lot of people have been feeling it, and and in at the same time, I'm releasing my own single on my own record label, Livingstone, and called um We Will Sing, that tomorrow will be released, and the album is called South Wind, that will be coming out in the 12th of April. So after We Will Sing, I have other singles coming out, but people can also keep up with me on my social media handle: Twitter, Chevelle Franklin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all the grams. All of them.
How
Yeah.
are you finding the digital age with the technology and the social media platforms? Because when you came out, you didn't have these different mediums. Do you consider these various platforms when you create music, and how has it enhanced your music and your work?
I thank God for it, because back in the day we only had probably just two little stations down here, and Area FM was always I take the lead, thank God for Area FM.
Hello.
So I, I had to go there, girl.
Yes.
So social media opened up, and we are no longer we have access to the world. And it save you a lot of money because back in the day you'd have to find money to do this, do that, do that. I mean, now you have YouTube, you have all these social media channels that really help to bring your music forward and really help to promote what you're doing. And it's also good because you're able to encourage certain people through these space. And that's the reason why, and this is not just a Christian thing, may I say. This is a world thing, may I say. We must use these platforms to be a blessing to people and not a curse. I know people want to talk about them business and them want to disrespect and compete and da. But we are not in the time right now where we need to be doing coming up against each other through this media. We can be a destiny changer to people. We can encourage young girls, help these young girls growing up, whether they have father figures or not. We can use these platforms to be a blessing to the world. So let's focus more on that and not just be so career driven and just because we want to be seen, we just put out anything. There are people whose life are depending on you to,
Mm-hmm.
you're in this position that can really bring change to other people. So use it for positive.
No, absolutely. And as you mentioned that I could not have you on and not have you give a word of advice to, Jamaicans in general and people literally around the world, but with a specific focus on Jamaica because so much is happening. You watch the news and it is depressing, it's heartrending. What advice or what words of wisdom can you share to persons who are in different types of situations and feel like, they are at their end of the rope for them?
Wow. That there's so much that can be said. But while you were talking, this one word just popped out to me. You are so worthy. You are worthy. You are loved. You may be in a situation, an environment that you're not feeling love, but you are so loved. You are valuable. You are beautiful, and you did not come on a buck up. No matter which way your mother or your father did hook up to get you, you are not a mistake. So don't allow the enemy or the enemies of around you to cause you to lose yourself. See the value in you, and you are so enough. You are enough to begin something that's beautiful in your community. You don't have to I just want you to find self-worth and just know that God loves you and you can be the world changer. Don't wait on anybody to change nothing. It begins with you. You are loved. Be the change. Don't just wait on the change. You are the change that change is waiting on to activate. And just love yourself and love God, fear God, walk in the fear of God, and just be kind. Because let me tell you something, my sister. Don't get no easy. Sometimes I go
Mm-hmm.
to the market, and hear how people talking to people. The level of kindness that we once had in this nation, just simple things. People don't even know how to say something nice anymore. We have there, and I think maybe all these things is stem from the hardship in our nation. Where things is so difficult. But I encourage you. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult, but don't lose yourself because of the pain. Find yourself and contribute. Be the light in the darkness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What's a word? Now, our chief engineer, Wilbert Wisdom, he just sent me a message via WhatsApp and he's saying that Chevelle and I work together with Ainsley Morris, the one man band in the hotel
Yes,
industry. So this is a part of a journey now that we absolutely missed out
yes,
on. So
yes.
how was that cabaret element of your career? Thanks, Mr. Wisdom, for that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Wisdom, because there is so much to my life that sometimes it's difficult to touch every ear. But that was one of the ear that was very instrumental with Ainsley Morris. I thank God for him because he also contributed to, just my well-being in a particular way. Being a very young girl, he gave me a job. I was not supposed to be even singing on the North Coast at 14 years old. But
Mm-hmm.
because at the time I looked older than my age, thank God he's reversing it. He has reversed it. At the time I look older than my age, so I would pass for an 18-year-old or a fifth or
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
16-year-old. And that also contributed. At the time, Diana King was also a singer there. She was doing all of those little ballad songs, but I was always doing my own fusion and my own, Sister Nancy style of
Mm-hmm.
the tenor saw vibe and thing. So she was also a part of, so both of us, Ainsley Morris contributed well to, certain levels of our career. Yeah.
And I can see how that early introduction would have also helped with your stage presence and craft and how to handle
Oh,
an
it was very
audience.
tight. Yes, it did. It really helped. It really helped. That's why it was like the practice ground for me, but the real world was coming outside of the hotel circuit and facing the real giants, which was the people who not pay them not into this luxurious space in a hotel. That woo ha, they were looking on you like, my girl, if you gotta sing, we are gonna stand on. You're trying to make the work of this song,
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was really a great space to grow, and I thank God for those years, those days.
I know earlier when you mentioned like some of the major events and festivals that you perform on, they seem all gospel related, but based on
Yeah,
how you had gotten your conviction at a secular event, do you find that are you open to perform at secular events? Do
of
you perform at
course.
these spaces?
Oh,
What's
definitely.
okay?
I definitely open to do it. I did a few and it turned gospel concert. I remember one of my first one. All the artists after me had to sing gospel because the presence of God came so heavy in the
Mm-hmm.
audience that, we had, I don't want to call them name because I don't want them to come for my neck, but all of them had to start singing gospel because the atmosphere just changed, and they were also convicted, so that was a good move. But I'm open for Sting. I'm open for, because God need to invade this space using his people. Because look on our Sting, look on what go on our Sting. Oh my God, every year the same thing. Yeah, we're talented,
Mm-hmm.
but Jamaica don't need Sting in that way anymore. We need in the way that there is positivity going out so that these young people can get encouraged to do the right thing. The bad man thing, the gun thing, yeah, we know, yeah, but we need to change the subject matter. We see where it now bring we nowhere. And if that's all that's on our agenda on those secular platform, where we think we're gonna raise, well, angels, we're not going to raise angels if we continue at that.
Mm-hmm.
If everything, if all the songs about prostitution, lifestyle, that's what you have to call it, because gal do this, gal boom flick, that. If all the songs are like that, what do we think we're going to raise? What are we releasing into? And so we need to take back this nation. We can't just be
Mm-hmm.
so blindly driven by the devil that we don't realize that you are contributing to the destruction of the nation. So we have to take it back. So when I say everything must turn gospel concert, I'm saying bring somebody in, bring other artists in that
Mm-hmm.
is gonna do
and and
uplifting
and
music.
that and in the same breath we have to say big up to people like Capleton and
Right.
Turbulence and
Sister.
Chuck
Yeah,
Fender,
yeah,
who brought
yeah.
that
That's right.
positivity to the space. And
Right.
you have a lot of shows where there is a balance because you have the reggae element and those reggae
Right.
entertainers who
But
continue
sometimes their
to.
voices are not, they're not enough. Somehow the people are so driven by the hype of negativity that
Mm-hmm,
the desire for them to see the song about the guns and the girls and the whole cussing thing. It's just so weird. But I
mm-hmm,
just pray that change will come, and it comes with the promoters that's keeping it. They just need the right balance and lift up the quality, because Jamaica right now need it. After them, they breed an earthquake was shake the other day. What more do we want? What more is God saying? Listen, me, you need to change. God has said mercy is speaking on your behalf right now. With this thing, there's a shaking. So let us realign, let us refocus, let us get back to saving this nation through positive lyrics, uplifting lyrics, and just be a change, because people love Jamaica. Be, I've traveled all over the world, and Jamaica is a very special place. But it seems like we're losing some valuable, we're losing love in a sense where them tired to hear. I mean, after one and two going, them just tired of what's going on. They want something. You see the Afrobeats artists, the Afrobeat,
mm-hmm,
everything is positivity. We need to change our subject matter. If we've got to read books to discover, if and there is enough here to see. God's beauty
No,
to talk about.
absolutely. And Chuck Fender was on last Thursday. He was my RTS guest. And one of the things that he highlighted close to the end of the conversation is the need for us to do these things, the very same thing that you're talking about, but as a collective, because as a unit together
Yeah.
we can achieve
Together.
more, because we have to also lead by example. Gospel, reggae, and dancehall, just come together under one umbrella with just one notion: positive energy and positive vibes.
We can't do it by ourselves. We have to come together. Unity is strength, and everybody know that.
Absolutely.
So the enemy is working overtime in this nation of Jamaica to keep everybody divided. So every concert, fight off go on. And when since we go on there, so man? No, we don't need to be like that. It's a state of emergency for Jamaica. It's a state of emergency for every parish. And we can't, the uptown people, them can't say, you see, they can't say it anymore. Those who are in those spaces can't say anymore, oh, well, their thing. No, it coming up there. It's up there. So
It's
all of
everywhere.
us have to care. It's everywhere. All of us have to care. And we just have to put our differences aside and say, how can we make this better? Because what? Nobody destroyed it but us. Nobody decided but us.
And where did the time go? 1:31. So my final question, what advice would you give to aspiring gospel entertainers who are coming into the space and knowing what the space is, and like some of the things that you just highlighted, like, it is where it seemed like the negative aspects of things get the prominence. What would you say to young aspiring gospel entertainers who want to venture into music?
I mean, I have that answer at the tip of my tongue. Mentoring, mentorship is key because having a mentor is very important for their success. It's important to have somebody who have an understanding of the same lane that you're traveling in. They can tell you, listen me, they're not, I must say, they're not always right, but you need them. They're not always right, but they're there to save you time. And so you can't allow, because you may not like the person's style or them flow or whatever they are, to say, I don't need nobody. You do need somebody. One hand can't clap. So find somebody. I'm open for mentorship. I mentor a lot of people all over the
Oh,
world.
wow, that
They're
is absolutely good.
they're young singers from Nigeria, they're singers from South Africa, they're singers from even Jamaica that I reached. Well, I reached out. The funny thing, I reach out to the ones in Jamaica, but the ones everywhere else in the world reach out to me. So mentorship is very important, to have somebody that you can run by to say, I'm working on this project. What are your thoughts? Not that you're gonna run with everything they say, but without a mentor, you will crash. You will
Absolutely.
crash. They're
For, for,
here to
for
save
the
your
person
time.
listening, though, Chevelle, and they really want you as a mentor, how do they get in touch with you? Is there an email, a contact number?
Well, I mean, it's easy. If you really want to find me, you can go through Instagram. You can send a message through the Instagram. You can send a message through Twitter. Just like when all manner of things are going, you find ways, you find them. So if whatever you really want to find, you will find it. So they can link me via Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I do go and answer. And some of them that will come, they're not ready. A friend them a look. But I don't want to be a friend if I'm mentoring you, because a lot of times people want to size. No, me and you are not size. We're in this, and respectfully we're gonna do this together and make it right. So if you're not willing to take the journey and hear what you need to hear, don't even bother reach out, because I don't have no time for waste.
Well said. And guess what? The messages are coming in for Chevelle Franklyn. This one says, "Good afternoon. I really do full joy the interview. Keep up the good work, Kish. It's Cherry from Landover Mountain, Mount Zion." This one says, "Good afternoon. You have done some excellent interviews on your shows. And this one affect me so much. I feel like bawling. I
Oh,
oh goodness.
oh
Look
wow, that's a
here.
blessing.
Look here, look here. The messages are coming in. This one says, "Nice story. I love it. But I get so emotional when she said she was 6 years old and she followed the lady home. It's Monique out of Stepney. This person says, big up yourself, Kishima. You do it again. You know, two great interviews for the new year so far. I love her journey. Big up to Chevelle Franklin. It's coming from King Mani. And this one says, Chevelle Franklin is such a blessing. I don't think I missed anything. Fantastic interview. I feel so good listening to her. Positive vibes, Kishima. And this one says, big up yourself, Kish. Beautiful interview. Chevelle is a darling. I love her. She speaks truth. I remember Dancehall Queen. I was a part of that movie as an extra. It's coming from Blooming. And this one says, Kish, what an out of you. Powerful host. Round of applause. Raise your glass. Chevelle Franklin to the world. That one is coming from Mama Jackie Roots. And this person says, Chevelle Franklin is a goddess queen for life. And she's moving like dynamite. May the Most High continue to bless you so that you can further inspire others. And that is coming from Wise Words. This person says, good afternoon, Kish. Keep up the good work you're doing. You know, missed last week, but I enjoyed this one to the fullest. It is absolutely very interesting. It's coming from Jackie Higgins. No, it's coming from Jackie, locked in Higginstown. All right, Jackie. And this one says, Chevelle, what an awesome story. Very inspirational. I learned a lot. My hope is renewed. Keep up the good work. You need to promote a huge conference. And we need your mentorship. It's coming from Sharon in Brownstone. No, the messages are lovely. They're absolutely heartfelt. This one says, beautiful interview, Kish. Good work is coming from Carlene. Bless up yourself, Chevelle Franklin. Martha the Barber in Augustone says, locked in. Great interview, Kishima. I always like listening to Chevelle Franklin. Beautiful lady. All right, big up yourself. And I'm giving you a taste of one of her new songs. You know, this one is titled Beautiful. Thank you so much to Chevelle Franklin.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Hey, not enough words to say how grateful I am to you. Speechless when I look where I'm from and where I am. Ooh, when I call you answer, more than I can count it.
Doing this one again from the top, Chevelle Franklin. It's